Have you ever made a quick judgment about someone based upon their appearance or how they sound? Perhaps you assumed because someone had an accent that they weren't from your country. Or maybe you saw someone that was wearing glasses and you automatically assumed that they were smart. These are examples of unconscious bias. Unconscious bias is when we judge people unfairly without even realizing it. This can lead to negative impacts on people who are judged. For example, a woman might be perceived as less committed to her career because she has children. And because of that, she may be passed over for a promotion or for a raise. Today, I'm sharing examples of unconscious bias that I've experienced, and I'm helping you understand ways to overcome it. This way, we can have a more equitable and inclusive work environment. After a few years as a business analyst, I was ready to take my career to the next level. I was planning to be a Scrum Master, even though I had been working on Scrum projects, but without the title. Several opportunities for business analysts on my team came up for them to travel to Germany, but I had never been asked to go on a work trip there. In fact, one of my coworkers who had less experience than me was asked to go several times. Eventually, I found out about a project kickoff that was happening in the spring, and I wanted to talk to my manager about it. When I brought it to his attention, he was pretty surprised. His reaction was, "Oh, really? I didn't think that you would want to go since you just had a baby this year." I told him that while I loved spending time with my daughter, I wanted to be able to travel occasionally, especially if that meant that it could help me in my career. He knew that my goal was to eventually transition full-time into a Scrum Master role, and Germany was where our major tech hub was. I also had taken over as the Jira admin recently, and the people that I took over from were located in Germany, so there were some really great networking opportunities. After our talk, he happily agreed. With my manager's support, I traveled to Germany, and it was an amazing experience. I met so many Agilists in the community that were based in Germany, and this helped me to be able to take on additional responsibilities later. Not only did I get to meet people in Germany that were working in an Agile space, but they learned that I was really interested in teaching other people about Agile and Scrum, and as a result, I ended up training many people within the company throughout the US on Agile and Scrum, and even provided support to the teams. This highlights the importance of addressing unconscious bias in the workplace. I was able to overcome this by having an open and honest conversation with my manager, and he learned a valuable lesson as well, and in the future, he made sure to challenge his assumptions before just assuming something about one of his employees. After this experience, I started to become more aware of unconscious bias that I had. An example of this was later in my career when I was officially a Scrum Master. I had a team that was based both in India and the US, and there were several times where I was able to coordinate lunch and learns for them where they were able to learn more technical topics. Wherever possible, we would try to make it so that it was at a convenient time for both folks that were in the US and in India. However, there were some times where we just ended up having to schedule it at times that it was more convenient for folks that were in the US. I had an unconscious bias that people that were located in India wouldn't want to attend because they'd be having dinner or spending time with their family. So I decided to not send them the invite. Later on, one of my coworkers asked me if I could invite him to future events, even if they were later on for his time. I realized that I made a mistake and I needed to be more aware of assumptions that I was making on my team. I used this experience to be more aware of my thoughts and make sure that I'm not making assumptions that will hold my team back from learning or growth opportunities. I could give many other examples of unconscious bias, but the point is we need to become more aware of how we're treating people. Think about the assumptions that you might be making about your team based upon their culture, experience, location. Make sure to challenge your biases and view things from a different perspective. Ensure that everyone has an equal opportunity, especially for learning and growth opportunities. And if you realize that there's an unconscious bias that's holding you back, make sure to speak up. In my case, this ended up helping me to be able to grow quicker in my career by having that conversation with my manager. I hope this video helped you understand what unconscious bias is and ways that we can overcome it. These are some of the challenges that you'll overcome if you go through the Scrum Immersion program. Scrum Life offers a 7-week hands-on Scrum Immersion program to give you real Scrum experience with a Scrum team. If you're interested in the program, check out the link or drop a comment below. Thanks so much for listening.